don't know. I have to ride him. There's not very many that are colored like this.
He's from Chavez in Nevada, the Chavez Range in Nevada, so I don't know.
Oh, so the Mustang.
Yes.
Gotcha, I see it.
This is what happens. He was 16 hands when I bought him after a lot of whiskey. I was at an auction.
But did you give him whiskey and he started shrinking?
No, I was at an auction and they're like, here, have some whiskey before the auction.
And you're like, this is a great idea. I'm gonna go buy a forever horse. Let me go get really sloshed. All right, young lady.
All right, he's I think he's 6-ish.
6-ish?
Yeah.
Mustang?
Yep.
Perfect, from Nevada.
Yep.
What's his name?
Duncan.
Duncan?
Dunkin' Donut.
I like it. What?
The Chavez Mountain.
What you got over there in the bag?
11 stone, you want one?
Not yet, not yet. I got the puppy syndrome. I wake up and I'm hungry, then I eat and I'm sleepy. It's a vicious cycle. All right, guys, so we got a Mustang here. Mustangs are very different. They come from the wild. So what do you think we're gonna do to start with him? Same thing. The language of the horses, I didn't come up with this. This is their language. Pressure and release. Gaining ground, controlling territory. This is their language, not my language. So what is the goal with him?
I just don't really know where he's at. I mean, I've been doing a little bit of everything with him.
Gotcha.
He's pretty reactive, but he's pretty quick to get
Over it.
the trust.
Yeah. Cool.
I think he's been picked on a lot.
So little pops like that, when you hear it loud, you know I'm trying to be loud. That lets you know that I'm not really trying to pressure them forward. I'm just trying to see what would happen if something sudden happened. And you could tell because he's walking a good circle here. Like that's pretty good. One of the better horses of the day as far as his first grade. Move his butt. What happened?
That's from the same group as Cat's Man-Eater and
Awesome. So she was asking earlier what first grade looks like whenever they're passing well. This is what it looks like. Whenever they're passing first grade well, this is a lot more like what it should look like. Where he's not only doing this, but he's doing this without a lot of argument, a lot of fuss. Look at how I just kind of walk towards his shoulders. He moves his shoulders over. I walk towards his butt. Look how much quieter this is and how much more fluid it is. I switch directions. Not too hot, not too cold. I don't have to push on him a lot. I don't have to pull on him a lot. You see how far you can drive that shoulder when they don't fuss? Now, if that was under saddle and I was in some yoga pants and some kinky knee-high boots, y'all would be applauding me like, oh my gosh, that horse goes forward and sideways. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what's supposed to happen. And it's not, they're playing it up like a difficult feat, but it's not a difficult feat if the horse gives their face. But in some circles, we won't name names, some circles it takes a long time to come by. But if it takes a long time to come by, those people are riding real straight. So the horse is very rigid and resistant, so it takes a long time for them to be able to move over. As opposed to if you get them soft from the very beginning, you'll have that kind of lateral motion within the first couple weeks of riding the horse. Because already from the ground, every day you're hounding on it, you're getting better, you're hounding on it. Now you're starting to introduce it under saddle as they start going forward. Well, very quickly, you're 2 weeks in, and that horse will leg yield all over the arena, walk, trot, canter, and circle wherever you want. But it's saying, hey, you know, what's fluff and what is actually useful? Let's put in the useful stuff first, and then we'll come back in and fluff up the rest of it. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And you call a shoulder in, we call a shoulder out, but we're pushing out. Centrifugal force. Absolutely. Go forward and move that shoulder out. There's so many benefits to that. If that horse is off center, it's so easy to take his butt from him. If that horse is off center and rounded like this, it's so easy to push those shoulders out. If that horse is off center, it's very difficult. Like, it's a special horse, like the last tubby guy that came through that picked up the wrong lead. That's very awkward for a horse to have their nose and their butt in and pick their horse up. That's why I said, oh, it's like a Spanish riding horse. That joker could be rounding this way and cantering that way. It's very uncommon. Right, absolutely. So most of these horses, if you show them how to move like that from the beginning, you'll never have to work on the correct leads. You'll never have to work on body position. That's just going to be their natural way of going under saddle, as opposed to letting that horse get rigid and straight and get comfortable with that, and then coming back and say, hey, you know, really I need your nose in, your chin down, your hip to the inside, your shoulder picked up. Just show them that from the beginning. Just gonna drop his head, nice. Now we'll do a little desensitizing. Notice when we desensitize, our shoulders are relaxed. That same assertiveness that was earlier isn't here now. Touch the air around them. Woo woo! A little touch, eh? Woo! He doesn't like that. Notice how we start going through this. You guys are already anticipating what's about to happen next. Well, if you guys can anticipate after one day of clinicking, how is that horse going to feel after a week of being at your place where you're doing this every day? So maybe on day one it does take an hour to get through this process. Tomorrow it'll take a half hour. The day after that, it'll take 15 minutes. The day after that, the horse is answering the questions faster than you can ask it to him, and you're just layering it and getting that horse as advanced as you want to. Yep. You ever seen Scooby-Doo? What do you think, Shax? Things are quiet. Too quiet. What do you think, Scooby? Ruh-roh. That's how it is. This horse is doing everything just like he's trained to. Somebody's put that work in. Just got done with the makeover Mustang brought up here. He's passed everything real good. So I want to go a little above and beyond. If he's just kind of going through the motions and touching. He showed that he had a little touchiness with his butt, with his flank. Let's go find that. Let's see what's up with that. If there's any doubt in your mind, go look for it. Don't guess. Like, man, my spider senses are really tingling, but hope this ride goes good. If your spider senses are tingling, go ask why. Cinch the horse, flank the horse, touch his butt, grab his tail. Whatever it takes for you to believe that you've got a hold of that horse, that's what you want to do. This horse is touchy around his butt. I'll put the tarp around his butt. Next thing I'll do is I'll put the rope around his butt, see where he's at with that. Oh, that's fine. Did he lay down in the auction? That's the beauty of having a check engine light. That's the beauty of having some kind of system in place, especially when you come to a clinic like this where you see how the different horses react, and then you go home and start adding to that number that you've seen gone through this program, is you start getting a real good feel for, something isn't adding up. That horse is reacting a little wonky to this. If you have any doubts, you just keep looking, keep poking, keep prodding. Make that horse make you believe that you can ride him. So a lot of you're saying, hey, I fell off a horse that was trained. Well, that goes right there. Don't assume just because they're trained that you can ride them. Make them earn your trust. Oh yeah, there we go. Does the idea of making a horse earn your trust make sense? We're guessing. Human beings fear the unknown. So the reason that so many people are unconfident on horses is they're guessing if it's going to go good or not. As long as you're guessing, you're going to confidently run into frustration and you're going to constantly be uncomfortable. And the more uncomfortable you are, the more unconfident you are, the more frustrated you're going to get. So do more on the ground. The more time you spend on the ground, the less time you'll spend on the ground. And the more assertive you are and the more you push on them and ask them to show you themselves when they're uncomfortable, the more you're going to believe in them. I mean, but that's not uncommon. I mean, if you want to buy a car, if you want to buy a house, the bank wants your financial statements. What do you think they're looking for? Hey, how long have you been an upstanding citizen? Hey, when things were hard and you ran out of money, did you still pay your bills? Did you still come through on your word? Well, it's the same way with your horse. You're checking things by seeing what they do when they're uncomfortable. In the meantime, when they're not uncomfortable, you're seeing how trained they are. So you can tell that this horse has been through some program because he has a real good idea of how to give his face, how to move his butt, how to move his shoulders. So all that is just mental notes that I'm taking. Love that. Who's that?
Her name's Sarah Jose. She's really young. She just turned 19.
Did a good job with them.
So one of the things when I flex him to the left, he bites the stirrup. I didn't know if that was an order.
If that happens, you just bring his face right past your stirrup.
It's not an aggressive thing. I can always see.
Right?
Sometimes they're just goofy.
Yeah. Good girl. So I feel blessed and fortunate. Most people get to do one thing in their life with horses, and that's kind of where they see the world from. I was blessed to have come from the show world where things are as advanced and as finished and as subtle as possible at the highest levels, to deciding to become a Colt starter and doing the most basic, most fundamental, most ridiculousness. Then you start seeing where people's visions don't align. Well, it's not that they don't align, they're saying something different. It's that they don't align because they're not doing the same things. So with that being said, your finish horses are very straight and square. It doesn't matter if they're just horse or reining horse, they're very straight, they're very square. Your Colt starting and your problem horses, you want them very bendy and very flexible so they can't take control, because you know they're going to get in trouble. So when they get in trouble, you want to be able to guide them right out of that trouble. Then you want to come back and put them back together and get them straight and square again as you ride. The difference on having been on both sides is I find that world-class reiners and world-class dressage riders, and my father as a world-class gaited trainer, from day one of them working a horse, they're already thinking about the finished result. So they're already driving towards that finished result. So I thought that when I went to like world-class reiners, I was going to get there and their horses were going to be softer than mine. They were not. I was mistaken. When I went there, the horses were straight and square. Yeah, they gave here up and down, but they never bent. So you could lope them around dang near in place and you could slide them, you could spin them. But if you took them out of that arena, you were going to have a hard time, because not only had they never been out of an arena, but on top of that, they had no lateral motion. So how are you going to take their butt from them? You know, how are you going to shut them down, or how are you going to face them up? If you grabbed a hold of the reins, they were going to spin. If they spooked, they were going to be going the other way before you could even reach down for the reins. So, as somebody that's seen both sides of the fence, I'm saying do both. Have fundamental education, which is left and right and softness, and this is how we get you going from point A to point B. And then, as you advance, we can square them back up and get them neck reining. Like this horse, you see how this horse is already locked up in the front end? She flexes, but she already goes that way. She's already used to neck reining. So earlier, when I was asking her to give me her face and move her shoulder, she acted like that was difficult. Well, it's not difficult. It's that as soon as she started acting decent, the person's already thinking, well, hell, I only got 100 days to get this horse right. I need to go ahead and put her together. I need to go ahead and get her neck reining. So she does neck rein. But watch, when I try to leg yield her over, she shook her head around. She's a pretty redhead. I call her what I want. It's 2022. She identifies as a ginger snap, okay? She's wearing pink. All right, so he had a real issue with doing this right here, like right there. It's because I'm asking him to bend and give at the same time. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. It's the understanding of why that's happening. So same thing, I'll get a dressage horse who has tempi changes, the most advanced thing in horsemanship. They can change leads on every stride. Okay, cool. Then they get to the point where they say, no, I'm not going in the show. I'll jump out of the pen and you can't stop me. Well, the pen is literally a foot tall. Dressage riders think that's cool. So it's not that the horse isn't very well trained. It's that with all that good control of the hindquarters, there's not enough control of hindquarters. You can just grab that horse by the face, pull his butt over and say, no, you will not be going over that fence with me. Because of that, the horse is so driven into the bridle and so square, it only gives his butt, you know, a step this way or a step that way for half passing, for lead changing. Well, then when he locks up his head, you can't stop him. So it's important to keep both as you're moving forward. This horse is pretty advanced for the time he has under saddle. Well, it's important that you keep a little bit of that left, right, and that softness. Even if I neck rein a horse with a tie down for roping, and I rope with him every day, every time I touch him, I'm roping with him, still, I expect when I swing a leg over, if I two-hand him and grab up the reins, I expect him to be butter. And if he's not, we'll have a conversation about that. Well, any horse that's kind of been through this program, they're not going to want to have a long conversation about it. So he'll say, oh, you've jogged my memory. Yes, I'm soft, I'm easy, because you need both. And I believe when folks are seeing horsemanship through a keyhole, through their one way of seeing it, it's not that they're wrong, it's just that they're seeing such a small part of what needs to happen, and you need the whole picture. That's why your colt starters and your finish trainers won't agree. That's why your clinicians who are working problem horses and your show trainers won't agree. Well, your show trainer's working the same horse all year. My father worked a horse. If you sent my father a horse in his day, you were sending it for the whole year. I get a horse that it's like, you fix it or they're going to slaughter. You have 30 days. What? This is a 6-year problem. You've had this horse problematic for 6 years and you want me to fix it in 30 days? Well, that's just the different career paths that we took, the different ways that we see horsemanship. Skirt, skirt. Oh, I like this one.
You should. He got reserve champion.
Really?
Yeah, I can see that. Skirt. Excuse me, little lady. I don't want to push off into your corner. Will you push that ball out? Thank you, ma'am. I'd hate to take a wrong step and... Well, I figure it's better that than to end up stepping on you. Horses have a knack.
I'm doing pretty fast.
Not from this group, but the Kentucky one that I was in.
So if you have a horse that doesn't like stuff up behind it, you could push that soccer ball, let it pass you, and then face up. And we're already preparing that horse that when it doesn't like something, to face up towards it. Absolutely. Pass it, face up. Now you start playing with that dragon and put something behind it, something touching his butt. So whenever you go and you're going to pick up something off the fence, or you're going to drag it, make sure that when you go and get it, that you don't reach past your foot. So make sure you get close enough where you can reach right here and grab it, and then we're immediately going to take it to him. Okay? Grab this and hopefully make a good example. Oh. So when I grab something off of a fence, I want to face it like this, and I want to grab it here where I'm not reaching over my foot. Think about your feet like a skateboard. You don't want to reach your head past your feet. Then I want to grab this with the same hand as my reins, and anytime he has an issue with it, we're going to face up to it. And this is the beginning of dragging stuff for me. So, are you starting to notice a pattern? That same riding the eye. We have the inside rein here. Then face up anytime there's an issue. Come again?
Dragging backwards, we were dragging a log.
Right. So what's the difference between this and the log?
It's going forward. Oh, well, no.
So that log is a lot for you to hold on to. Everything that I desensitize with, I want it to be light so I can handle it real easy. The lighter it is and the more I can handle it, the more I can manipulate it and put it where I want. So if this horse really scoots backwards, it's kind of hard for you to hold on to that log unless you have it dallied, and if you have it dallied, that's even sketchier. So here, I feel pretty confident to reach around here and touch his butt, pull it in front of him, back him up, because what's he gonna do? I got it in my hand. So if he tries to jar away from it, so this starts giving you more confidence. Again, defensive driving is really offensive driving. The more we're worried about something, the more assertive and to the point we need to get. Fake it till you make it. Okay, now, if he doesn't like this, or he doesn't like things touching his butt, which he showed a couple times that he doesn't, what gives us confidence? Well, we got him soft left and right. We know he gives his face in his butt. And notice how his face is off center. It's not because he wants it off center. If he had it his way, if he was uncomfortable here, he would point his nose that way and bring his butt towards it. But we're not allowing that. So now we want to back up and drag it in front of us. Same thing to the other side. Does this make sense to you? This is lighter, it's easier to deal with. It's not any less scary than a log is, but what it is it's What it is it's easier to handle. So I love to give me a 20-foot tarp strip down, and I'll pull it, I'll drag it from in front of them, drag it behind them, turn in away from it so that it's going around their butt. I'll go over it, I'll hold it up and go under it. Well, now you've just gone everywhere you can go. So many things that we're talking about. Horses are like semis. Semi can almost see all the way around them. He has those big old mirrors, but that almost will get you in trouble. Those blind spots will get you ran over, right? Well, horses are the same way. They're good, but they have blind spots up behind them, directly behind them, directly underneath them, directly straight ahead of them. And those little blind spots, it seems like magic when it goes wrong. They accept it here, here. You go to get on, they accept you on this side, and now your foot teleports over here through the darkness to their other eye. All these things have a tendency to spook the horse.
You can reach that buoy in that tire over there.
Buoy in the tire that.
Gotcha. So when I have something that's kind of in between, it's not real heavy, but it's not light, hold it in my hand, pull it here. My muscle's what's holding it from pulling on the horse's face. All I gotta do is release my hand, and now my horse is facing up. Again, we're dragging that log, we're dragging that buoy, holding my muscle on it to drag it. I'm holding my muscle on it to drag it. That horse gets a little uncomfortable. What happens when I release that muscle? Just the best timing right there. Again, that's the benefits. That's the benefits of not dragging something so heavy that you have to dally. Dallying is for when you're ready to go to work, when your horse is ready to really pull something. Until then, tarps and buoys and barrels and stuff like that that don't weigh anything. Now I start letting them get straight behind it. Face up. Sure. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Lock it into my leg, let him drag it. Whenever I want to, just release my muscle or release my leg, faces up immediately. You see how like immediate that? No, I'm facing when I choose to. So what I'm saying is I'm holding the weight off of his face by locking my hand into my leg. like this. You see my hand on my leg? I'm not letting it pressure him. Release my hand. Immediately the weight of the buoy draws his face back that way. So if it was a tarp, you have to pull them back that way. If you're pulling, we have at home a blue barrel like that, but Alaskan buoy works good too. So you just use the little bit of weight that it has and hold it with your arm, hold it with your strength right here. And then the second they booger, do anything funky, release that energy that you're using to hold it. Immediately they face up.
Now I couldn't tell because you were down there. Has he gotten softer about it?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he doesn't feel sketchy at all. Like here, I would already be comfortable. I would already be comfortable, you know, dallying off and saying, okay, come on, let's go. Even when I do dally off in the beginning, I always have the inside rope tighter, the inside rein. Face up. Sure. I like Mustangs who don't try to murder me. I feel like the ratio isn't very balanced though. For every one cool, well-trained Mustang that I get at a clinic, I get 10 that a little waspy.
That's my little dirt